There we go. Well, hello, Scotty, Chatty, John. Again, if diets work, why are 80% of America overweight? Because the whole concept behind dieting, that's what we're going to talk about today, is totally wrong. It's been completely obsoleted by major medical organizations. Let's start with Harvard Medical School. Here's an article from Harvard Medical School, Stop Counting Calories. They said the idea, let me read it correctly here. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion. It's time to take a different approach by putting the emphasis on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. Imagine, I have 10 peer-reviewed new studies of the top weight loss researchers in the world developed this new protocol. Men and women are losing as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet any of you have ever been on. They lost as much weight in a month as a year on conventional diets, lost no water, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Most women lose a whole dress size in the first 7 days, and no one was allowed to exercise. I know it sounds good to be true, but what are we doing? We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Why in the world do you think that these diets by lowering calories work? Because they don't. It doesn't matter that everybody's telling you that the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. It's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense scientifically, and it's been completely debunked, not by me, but these major experts. Here's another big study, why you shouldn't count calories. Why you shouldn't count calories. The truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count, restrict their calories, gain back more weight than they lost. Why are you counting calories? Why? I'd love for anybody to put it in the chat. Diets don't work. Do you all get that? Do you all get that counting calories? Yes, you'll lose weight initially, but you end up gaining more weight than you lost, according to study after study after study. What are we doing? We're doing what everybody's telling us to do. And it's like 550 years ago, the smartest people in the world said what? That the world's flat. What are they all telling you now? See the celebrities on TV, see the athletes, see the stuff you see on social media. But at the end of the day, if 80% of America's overweight, how in the world would any of you think that lowering calories works long term? It doesn't. It's the biggest misinformation. And then I don't even think they're doing it on purpose. They believe it. It's like they do believe the world's flat. It's not. These researchers, the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world for 38 years, over 100 studies, they've figured this out. But you know what's cool about them? They don't have any products. They don't have a company. So there's no agenda. So this isn't like, oh, well, Jenny Craig did this stuff. No. Nothing against Jenny Craig. Do whatever you want to do. But I'm making a very important point. I just had a conversation today with the head scientist, and he encouraged me. He says, look, we need to get this message out. They admitted themselves for 38 years by putting people on every kind of diet out there. People lost weight initially. But what you have to understand is that up to 40% of what because they did the study, they measured lean muscle mass. It went down by 40% for most people, and they gained all their weight back because it slows down. When you lose your lean muscle, it slows down your metabolism. It's that simple. You can fool yourself. You can believe, this new big trend like, don't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8. Code word, you're consuming less food. It's nonsense. The body doesn't care about quantity. It only cares about quality. Does this make sense to all of you? Chatty loves voices, tick shop, mama. Look, why are you, not any of you, but just in general, the general populace, why in the world do we continue to do something that does not work long term? Why? Because that's the only alternative until these researchers. I'm going to tell you again, men and women were not allowed to exercise. They really did lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in a month as a year on any diet, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. And that's the least important reason to do this. They also lowered blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, and inflammation went down in a month. This has never been seen before, ever. And yet you can go, I put the website there for you. It's free. The New Health Conversation. You can go there for free if you want and see the medical proof. Because if you go there, we won't contact you. No, we don't do that. We don't need to. We're the only people on all of social media. with peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. Nobody else, with all due respect, you see medical doctors and chiropractors and dietitians and nutritionists, and they're all telling you the same thing. They just change the name. They disguise it and, oh, it's keto or it's paleo or it's time-restricted eating or it's carnivore or whatever. If any of this worked, you could, if you look at the numbers, okay, to give you an idea, back in the late 60s, about 5% of the population in this country was overweight or obese. 5%. There's a new study out from Johns Hopkins Medical School. Study predicts obesity apocalypse. By 2030, they're estimating 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese in 5 years. So wait a minute. We've gone from 5% of the population overweight or obese to almost 90%. I mean, does anybody see this? This is insane. And what do? We wait for the new diet. And oh my gosh, what's coming in 6 weeks? New Year's resolutions. Probably many of you are ready. For some reason, you're holding back, like January 2nd is some magical day. No, you should start now. It's about your life. It's about your health. This is not about fat shaming anybody, etc. My own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy, and I loved her. She was awesome. But sadly, 23 years ago, when she called me up one day and said, you know, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could just spend 24 hours thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. My mom did about every diet there was 23 years ago. I lived with this. I saw her lose 20, gain 25 back, lose 25, gain 30 back. So she went from, Atkins to Optifast to cutting diets out of the National Enquirer. She did the grapefruit diet and the cow. I'm not making this up. I saw it. I lived with it. I saw the fat shaming. I saw the whispers and the kids pointing at her and stuff. I loved her. It didn't matter. Maybe some of you can relate. I hope not. I hope you don't go through this. But you have to understand the reason to do this is not to fit in your skinny jeans. That's like a given. Do you know most women in these medical studies lost a whole dress size in 7 days? Chatty or any of you, how much would that excite you if that was possible? What's so sad is that, Nasser, go ahead. I have a question. I'm live, just so you know, everybody. I'm live. I'm not recorded. I mean, this is not recorded. So go ahead, Nasser. What's your question? Or any of the other, if you'd like to ask me a question. So Nasser, are you typing? Look, just seriously, ask yourselves a question. If they're talking about in 5 years that we're going to be at 86% overweight and obese, and we go back to the 60s and it was 5%, if we go from 5% to nearly 90%, do we have more diets than we've ever had before? Do we have more, advice, workout? Go to Barnes & Noble, look at how many diets there are. I have a report here, okay? I know you can't read it. This is 110 different diets, many of which they're preposterous. So, some of the names are just totally crazy, like, let me just give you a couple. The egg and wine diet. The calories don't count diet. How about the hump link diet? How about listen to this one, the false Mayo Clinic diet. This is insanity, what we're doing. And we're getting bigger and bigger and sicker at younger and younger ages. Thank God we have medications. Do you know that back in the early 60s, like the budget for chronic disease in this country was nearly zero? You know what it is this year? 4.5 trillion with a T. So Nasser, do you have a question? Please put it in there for me. Well, in the meantime, let me go over. Okay, so let's get to the bottom line. What did these researchers do? First of all, let's talk about what they learned. In 38 years of research, they're the top, not me. Let me be clear to everyone. I'm the researcher of the researchers. It's not my research. It's their research, right? But they're the top weight loss, nutrition, physiologists in the world. Are you going to listen to them? You can go and see the medical results actually on that website, The New Health Conversation. You can see it right there. But what did they do? Okay, here's what they found out. That every form of diet, whether you know it or not, you won't be surprised, it has nothing to do with calories, okay? Nothing, zero. All a calorie is a measurement. It's not a real, it's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. Nothing more, nothing less. What a diet is this, and here's why they can't possibly work long term. The body has a minimum amount of nutrition that it needs to run the brain, the kidney, the liver, the heart, etc. When you go on a diet, all you're doing, think about it, you're reducing the amount of food you're consuming. Whether it's this 16-8, where you only eat for 8 hours and you don't eat for 16, it's all complete utter nonsense from a scientific standpoint of view. Because when the brain senses you've dropped below the minimum amount of nutrition you need, the brain absolutely panics in survival mode, prevents you from burning fat, and converts your muscles into carbohydrates for fuel, proven in all the studies. There's no doubt that people on all these studies lost weight, but when they measured the weight, about 40% of what they were losing was lean muscle, which slowed down their metabolism. They came off these diets and they gained all their weight back. That one report said that. I read it. I think I did. Yeah. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. Why are you doing it? Because there's no alternative. That's why, until now. So the researchers said, wait a minute. Is it possible? It was a theory. And let me go back to something. They don't sell you anything. They don't have a product. They don't have a company. They're scientists. They were looking, could they solve the dilemma about overweight and obesity and health all at the same time? So what they figured out was this: if they were going to do this, could they lower the amount of food people consumed, but not lower the amount of nutrition? Hopefully this makes sense to everybody, okay? Well, okay, Nasser. The thing is that I'm not against drugs, okay? And depending, that's a really broad question that you're asking me. It really, I guess, would depend, partly on the patient. I mean, if you've got someone with blood clots, then you really don't have a choice. They need thinners like some things like Eliquis or Coumadin or, anything along those lines. But the idea would be that everything we can do from a preventative nature to not fall into that kind of a category is just that much better, okay? And as far as muscle relaxers, part of what's going on in our body is that I discovered this medical syndrome. We all have it, including me and you and everybody. TDOS stands for toxicity driven by nutritional deficiency, causing you to be overweight, and stress. The big part of stress in the body, which stresses obviously and makes your muscles tight, etc., is the body's awareness that you have these foreign substances stored in your fat cells, okay? I know I'm digressing for a moment. I promise I'll come back. In these medical studies, what they did, they measured blood, sugar, stool, and urine analysis and proved that this protocol, the first thing it was doing, the most important, was assisting the body in removing these chemicals. They saw stress levels. Well, here's the underlying cause. Stress also helps to trigger what? Inflammation. Inflammation is the underlying cause of every disease out there, according to the medical world. They saw inflammation come down in 30 days by 25% in 30 days. No one has ever seen any result like this. Well, as a result, when you lower inflammation in the body, you're also going to lower stress. But more importantly, and I know I'm digressing, bear with me, everyone. One of the things that they used in the studies, although they didn't supply anything to anybody, they found other researchers who for the last 25 years had gone around the world to find these almost magical foods which had tremendous amounts of nutrition and contained elements that aren't available in North America. One of them was called adaptogens. Now, the adaptogens come from Mongolia and Manchuria. What do adaptogens do? Number one thing, massively lower stress. Hello. And number two, they lower inflammation. Now, rather than just being some sales talking point, you can go and look at the medical proof on the site. You'll see that inflammation came down 25% in 30 days. So that's the best way. And obviously, part of pain is generated by what? Inflammation. You sprain your ankle. The reason you know you sprained your ankle is you've got the pain from the inflammation that's being caused. Look at what's going on with people's stiffness and all those kind of things. So a huge contributing factor to what you're commenting on is because of the storage of these chemicals inside our bodies. I hope this makes sense to everyone, okay? So let me come back onto so what did they do? Because this is not a diet. We would tell you right away, don't do this to lose weight as your main motivation. That's a wonderful side benefit, but the least important, okay? Because what they did in these studies, men and women, no one allowed to exercise, and yet they really did lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet, although there were people that wanted to gain weight. There were people that, in the age groups were probably from about late 30s all the way up to about 75 years old. It was a broad spectrum of people in these studies on this new protocol that they invented. But the theory was really pretty simple. Could they lower the amount of food we were consuming, or the people in the studies, but not lower the amount of nutrition? How'd they do it? And it was a theory. 30% of the food in you would get a grocery list of fats, proteins, carbs, fruits, etc. Not just the grocery list, but also the amounts you'd be taking and when you'd be taking. It's all laid out, okay? And then the other thing that they did, so that would represent 30% of what you would be consuming or purchasing in a month, all right? The other 70%, let me be clear, you're not buying all the food you're currently buying, and then you buy these other 5 foods, which, by the way, you don't buy them from us, you don't buy them from the researchers, you buy them directly from the suppliers who supplied those 5 food groups to the researchers. Let's be clear about that, okay? So you're not buying anything from us or the researchers. Those 5 foods came from all around the world. They came from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, and they represented massive amounts of nutrition, but not massive amounts of volume, including things like these adaptogens, okay? So now they had the ingredients, 30% from the grocery store, 70% from these foods from around the world. Then they created completely different ways of consuming food that no one had ever done before. They invented something called protein pacing. So 5 days a week, first of all, 5 days a week, they have you have 4 meals, 4, not 3, 4. You start with what the researchers have called, from a nutritional standpoint of view, these 5 foods represent what? The world's most perfect meal. Even if you think you're going to go get organic and whatever, nice try. No, because even organic is slightly better nutrition than regular food, but not enough really to make a significant difference in the outcome of our lives from a health perspective. See, the food in North America, the amount of nutrients is still there, but they've diminished massively over the last 100 years, all right? So 5 days a week, they started with these 5 foods from around the world. That was breakfast. Lunch from the grocery list, then a third meal from the grocery list, and then a fourth meal, the world's most perfect meal, okay? Then 2 days a week, they had them do something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting, okay? Ironically, at the end of a month, people's hunger had gone down by 41% because hunger is not based on calories. Hunger is based on the lack of nutrition. If I do nothing else in this podcast, I hope I can get that across. And I see these people, they want to give you recipes. What? They don't mention anything about the nutritional value of the recipe. It's like, it's a quantity thing. Get that out of your mind. Quantity, red flag going off. Quantity represents you're counting calories. The human body's not counting calories. Why are you counting calories? But again, all of you. So imagine men. Men lost on this anywhere from 2 to 4 inches off their waist in the first 7 days. Women, a whole dress size in a week. And in a month's time, they really did lose as much weight as a year on any diet with no loss of water weight. And instead of losing any lean muscle, remember, no one was allowed to exercise because the researchers didn't want exercise to be part of this. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Doesn't that sound interesting to all of you? And yet you can go to that website. Oh, I'll go to that in a moment, Nasser. Just give me a moment to finish this point. So you all can go, you can see it there, the New Health Conversation. That's the way, I'm going to show it all to you, and then Nasser, I'll come back to your question. This is the website. There's nothing to buy there. Not my books, nothing. It's only the medical proof. And if you go there, if you do, you can choose to or not. You can, once you see everything, see, we show you everything up front. We're not holding anything back from you. You can sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Why is that important? Because we don't know anything about you. Are you on medication? What if you want to gain weight? We have kids as young as 2 doing this, people that are 90. It's a whole, we have a man with a heart transplant. We got people with kidney transplants, and we're not treating, curing, diagnosing any medical conditions. That's not what we're doing, okay? So let's be clear. This is for educational purposes only. I'm educating you. But all I'm doing is making you aware of the medical proof. Now, if you don't believe in what are called peer-reviewed human trial studies, there's nothing higher in medical investigation than a peer-reviewed human trial study, okay? And yet you get to go to that website and see everything for free with no gimmicks, no tricks, and we're not going to contact you. Only way we'll contact you is if you decide you like what you see and you're still curious, you can sign up for a free consultation with one of our coaches, and that coach who interviews you, they'll be your coach the whole time as you move through, okay? Now, Nasser, let me come back to your question. Second question is, how do you see the attitude of workers' comp doctor toward patients, heart and company works? Okay, I'm just a little bit confused by the question. I think what you're asking me is, how would I say that this would help, like with workers' comp? It makes people healthier. It's really that simple. Now, again, we're not against drugs, okay? Now, in the studies, just so you're aware, all of you, including Nasser, when they had diabetics, they had people with high blood pressure who were monitored by their medical doctors, not by the researchers, okay? In a month's time, across the board, the people on medication, whether it was for blood sugar or from high blood pressure, the doctors cut their meds by 50% in a month. 50%. So you talk about I think you're talking about workers' comp, et cetera. Well, obviously, when people need less medication, that helps certainly lessen the burden of workers' comp, which I'm not opposed to. I'm not making a comment about that. I'm just telling you, to do this, the last reason you'd ever want to do it is to lose weight. That's a throw-in. As a matter of fact, the biggest reason to do it is because me and you and every person in the world has this medical syndrome. It's a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office recognized as a medical syndrome called TDOS. T for toxicity, D for deficiency, O for being overweight, S for being stressed. And in these studies where they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they proved that this protocol was assisting the body in removing toxins from our bodies. That's the sad reality of where we are as a society. Do you think, and I don't want you ever to believe me. I'm the researcher of the researchers, let's be clear. But they only discovered that we were storing chemicals in our bodies back in 2005, Mount Sinai Medical School. Now let's take a look 19 years later. What are the world experts saying about their studies now of these chemicals and what they're doing to us? Let me read to you so you know that this is pure from them, not from me. The Endocrine Society, largest organization of experts devoted to the research on hormones and the clinical practice of endocrinology, reports that the rise in the incidence in obesity matches the rise in the use and distribution of industrialized chemicals. They give these chemicals a name. They call them obesogens. Obesogens. They go on to say, simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body from a variety of sources, from natural compounds found in soy, artificial hormones fed to animals, plastics in food packaging, and pesticides spread on produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. So I would ask any of you, what are you doing about obesogens? Did you even know obesogens existed before this podcast? Are any of these influences ever mentioned TDOS syndrome or obesogens? Of course not. They're not. This is a major reason why we have 80% of America overweight, why we're becoming the sickest nation in the world, despite spending 4 times. Do you know that? We spend 4 times what the industrialized world spends on medical treatment, and we have like the worst outcomes? What the heck is going on? Does it have something to do with the lack of nutrition? Does it have something to do with the fact that we've so overproduced the volume of food and in so doing decrease the amount of nutrition? It's not that complicated, ladies and gentlemen. You have an amazing opportunity, not just to lose weight and fit in your skinny jeans. Nothing wrong with that as a goal. But how about maximizing your quality of life potential? How about maximizing your health potential? Is that important to you or not? In this busy, hypersensitive world, everybody wants me to give them a 60-second, clear. No, we're not doing that. This is more complicated than that. And unless you understand the reason you'd want to do this, don't waste your time. Seriously. That's why we provided that free website for all of you to go. There's nothing there to buy. Despite my 4 best-selling books, I have them all here in my hand. There's no books on that website for you to buy. None. We did it on purpose. We don't want you to be in a position where you think you have to buy our books in order to find out the solution. That's nonsense. We don't do that. You can go there. You can invite anybody else you want to go there and see the medical proof or not, or just pretend. Just because you're not aware of it, it doesn't take away its negative impact on your life moving forward. Moving forward, isn't that what should matter to you? It's not where you've been, it's where you're going. And how are you going there? Because, like I said, I got study after study talking about calories counting and how ridiculous. Here's one right here. Why losing weight isn't about cutting calories. Again, none of it's my opinion. I love it when people come on and they make all these comments about, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Of course, the only way, CICO, calories in, calories out, that's the only way to lose weight. Really? Really? Amid all fad diets, calorie restriction continues to be a popular approach for weight loss. It turns out that cutting calories for weight loss is a misguided strategy that leads to the more unintended weight gain over time. The experts are saying if you go on a diet to lower calories, you're going to gain weight. Why did you even go on the damn diet in the first place? Pardon my French. Does everyone understand this? Nasser, what you can do right here. Go to the website and you can scroll down and you can sign up for a free consultation with one of our coaches. If they can't answer your questions, then they'll get me involved. And it's not that I'm not interested. It's just that I'm so overburdened with time producing these podcasts, but we have very, very qualified people. So if you put in the little chat just a brief history of whatever things you're doing, we have medical doctors, okay? We have PAs that could address you directly that are working with patients. I don't know, and I don't want you to put it on social media, whatever you're struggling with, but I really encourage you and invite you to go there. Look, so whether it's Love's Voice or whether it's Chatty, would any of you like to put in the comments? Look, the biggest thing I fight, I know it's really too hard to believe that something like this even exists. I get it, okay? But don't we at least have to be open to an alternative, a different approach? I started telling you all about this report there's 110 different diets in here. 110 different diets. It's just the moon. How about the moon diet? It's just so insane. The jaw wiring diet, the nibbling diet, do you see the insanity of what we're doing? But in all the studies, when they looked at the weight loss for people, I'll give you an example. I'm going to read to you from a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association, one of the biggest medical journals in the world. They did a 12-month study on 48 different studies, 7,200, so 7,286 people over 12 months. Here's what they said. When we analyzed and they named all the major diets you're familiar with, not some of these crazy ones that are in that report I just shared with you. What did they find? They said when we looked at the most amount of weight loss in a year to the least amount of weight loss in a year, it was about 10 ounces, not 10 pounds. And they said the average weight loss on all these diets was around 16 pounds in a year, and up to 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. And of course, they gained all the weight back. How in the world, with all these diets, could we, as we sit here today, be looking within 5 years of saying today we're 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. They're saying in 5 years it's going to be 86%. So the graph's going like this. And what do? You're all excited about, I'm not going to make a general statement, some of you. January 2nd, let's start on my new diet. Ladies and gentlemen, they do not work. And I'm not getting you to buy my book. I wrote this big best-selling book called Why Diets Are Failing Us back in 2010. We've had 2 or 3 updates since then. And we just said, why in the world are we counting calories when the human body doesn't know what a calorie is? Am I making sense to all of you? I'd love for anybody to put it in the chat. But I encourage you to go to the New Health Conversation, sign up if you want. You don't have to. If you go there, we're not going to contact you. But I love it when people come on. I don't know if you're for some reason you think that I'm going to argue with you or whatever. I'm here to help you. We're here to help you. That's a free website. It took a lot of resources to put that together for the general public to see it. And we're not like any of these other influences. We're showing you everything up front for free. And then you can decide if you want to do it. And like I said before, you don't buy anything from us. 30% of what you'd buy, you get a grocery list from the grocery store. The other 70% come from these 5 suppliers or food groups that come from all over the world. They sell to you directly. And the part I didn't even tell you, in the first 30 days, you thought it was too good to be true, it's going to get better. Those suppliers offer you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days, no questions asked. They'll even pay return shipping. Why wouldn't you be open to the idea of at least exploring this? That's all I'm inviting you to do. Because if you do a free consultation with one of our coaches, they're not there to convince you. They're not there to sell you. They're there to educate you. And then you get to make a decision. How could we be any fairer than that? How would we do it? What else would you like us to do? And the reason we do free evaluations is we don't know anything about you. What if you want to gain weight? Like I said, we got kids as young as 2. We got people 90. We have a gentleman with a heart transplant. We have a young man now, right? He's, I think, 5'11". He weighs 650 pounds. But we have all kinds of challenges. But again, if you could just give your body massive amounts of nutrition, but not massive amounts of food, you're just going to be healthier. It's not even an opinion. We know that to be true based on all the scientific studies that are out there. The question is, how do you do it? That's what these researchers did. They invented this. And they don't have a product. They don't have a company. They don't sell anything. Are you all understanding that? That's yes, Nasser. That's one of the things that really can help tremendously is with pre-diabetics. And again, that's why I'm saying go and sign up for a free consultation and they'll go over everything with you. We have all kinds of diabetics that are doing this because the challenge with a diabetic typically is that they have real hard time losing weight. Okay, that's a given. So Chatty or Love's Voice Tick Shop, would any of you like to put a question in, whatever? Wow. I mean, I really believe that we're in a position where we need to be educating the public. So then you have an alternative if you want to take advantage of it. If you don't, okay, no harm, no foul. That's like you can go to that website. We will not contact you. Let me say it again. If you go to that website, we're not going to contact you. We don't need to Why? If we have to convince you, then something's wrong. Because you're going to get to see actually 3 of the major studies that were published in the Obesity Journal, in Nutrients, and in the #1 journal in the world called Nature Communications. There's no other diet that's ever done peer-reviewed human trial studies on their own. Now remember, for those of you who don't understand, a peer-reviewed human trial study, why is that such a big deal? It's a big deal because it's the highest you can go in medical research. For example, no drug ever gets approved with a scientific study or with a clinical study done on mice or rats. Only way it gets approved is they do human trials on human beings, and then their results are then re-examined by world-class medical doctors and scientists who have one job: to disprove what they're trying to prove. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. So you won't be able to point to one diet out there that's ever initiated a peer-reviewed human trial study on their own. It doesn't exist. Whether it's time-restricted eating or paleo or keto or Mediterranean or the zone diet, it doesn't exist. You all are in a position where you could completely turn your futures around potentially. They actually have an expression. This will sound even crazier to you. They said, just give us 4 days. They said because the men and women in the studies literally lost as much weight in 4 days as 4 weeks of any diet they'd ever been on. Now they freaked out and thought, oh my God, it's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast. No, it's not. If in fact you're not losing lean muscle mass. Well, not only weren't they losing lean muscle mass, they were increasing it despite no exercise. And the reason they didn't want people to exercise, the researchers, they didn't want exercise to be an outlier. They didn't want it to be part of why the people were having success. Does that make sense to everybody? So what I would encourage all of you to do, only if you want, you can go to the website. You can see it there. It's right at the bottom, the New Health Conversation. Oh, it's right above my head too. The New Health Conversation. You can see it right there. And if you go there, we won't contact you. I promise that's not what we do. And you can then, once you get to see everything, you decide if you want to get a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. I guess the question would be, why wouldn't you do it? Because you think somehow we're going to try and bait and switch you, or, this is a blue light special. We're not doing that nonsense. That doesn't exist. Plus, you get free coaching, and 70% of what you're going to consume comes with a 100% money back guarantee. Please put in the chat any diet that's giving you 100% money back guarantee on 5% of what you're purchasing. I mean, they're selling you this stuff. They're selling you recipes. Really? I mean, come on. If that worked, it would be, it would be much simpler to have this thing. And I'll share with you, for example, this big buzz now is about this, what's called time restricted eating, where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. It's really been a big deal. Yeah, here it is right here. So this is a study done on time restricted eating. See, there's a big difference between opinions and facts. This is the Journal of the American Medical Association study. Listen to what they said. None of this is my opinion. I'm sharing with you the actual proof. The Journal of the American Medical Association, new research found that overweight adults who were assigned routinely to fast, to eat their meals, routinely fast for 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8 p.m., over the course of 3-month study, gained almost no benefit from it, lost between 2 and 3 pounds in 3 months, and most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. Because I've had lots of people going, I'm doing intermittent fasting. Yeah, and you're losing your lean muscle mass. You come off that diet, you're going to gain everything back. They get mad at me when I'm just stating the medical proof. It's not an opinion. If you want opinions, follow those people that are telling you to do intermittent fasting, time restricted eating. Nonsense, 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 nonsense. And I'm not saying they're showing you before and afters and people lost weight, but the weight they're losing is the most unhealthy weight you could ever lose. Does everyone get this? I hope you do. So I'm gonna conclude this podcast here in about 4 or 5 minutes. So if any of you would like to hop on and ask me another question, I'd be happy to answer them for you. And I'll probably do another one probably within an hour. I'm going to try and do at least 3 or 4 today. I've got a couple other things I need to do. That's why I need to conclude this one. But it's now almost noon on the East Coast. So let's say that I probably would do it around 12:30, 1 o'clock Eastern time, in case you want to invite somebody else, or you just jumped on late and you want, to hear more of the information. But you don't need me. The whole point is right above my head, The New Health Conversation. That's the website. So Nasser, you asked the same question twice in a row. That's fine. Yes, please get with the people. One thing I can tell you, Nasser, this was invented like 25 years ago, or the first stages. It was invented by a diabetic chemist. It was invented for his own diabetes, and then it's expanded over the years to all these other avenues. So it's without making any promises, because we would never do that. That's why you want to go and sign up for a free consultation with one of our coaches, and make sure you put in there that you're concerned about pre-diabetes, et cetera, and we'll get you someone who's an expert in that area using this protocol, okay? So we line up the coach with whatever the concern may be. Or, most of the time it's people just, they want to lose weight. They've tried everything, nothing works, and that's where their skepticism comes in, and I support you in your skepticism, okay? So anybody else like to ask me a question before I conclude this live? This podcast. It is live. It's not pre-recorded, just so you understand, okay? So Nasser, I hope you will go to the website, sign up, and they'll get back to you. Maybe even today, but certainly no later than tomorrow. Normally we try and get back to all the comments within a day. No, there's no office address, Nasser. You need to go to this website, okay? I'm going to put it under your name one more time. Hold on just a second. Nasser, you want to go to get the to sign up to get a coach, go to the New Health Conversation. You can see it right there. Or you can see it right up here, The New Health Conversation. That's where you want to go, Nasser, okay? So I want to make sure that everybody understands it's free. Yeah, it's free to go there, and no one's going to contact you, okay? So anyway, I want to thank all of you for hanging in there. Wow. Look at that. This is not pre-planned, everyone. Look at that. He come on and said, I lost 27 pounds in 24 days and 28 inches. Do you think any diet's ever done that? Look at 28 inches. That's what's so significant for everybody. So I'm going to conclude this, and then, like I said, I'll probably do another one within an hour or less. If you just came on late, you can come, or please refer people to my website, The New Health Conversation. That's my TikTok handle. You can also go there. So I want to bid everybody adieu for right now, and then like I said, I'll be coming on with another one here within an hour or so. So FR8 damage, that is absolutely stunning. I hope you're just blown away, blown away. I mean, honestly, I'd love if you got time to comment. When was the last time you ever lost 27 pounds, if you ever did? And if you lost 27 pounds, thank you, Nasser. But FR8 freight damage, what about, have you ever lost that kind of weight before? And if so, how long? And also, was this so much easier? And am I telling the people correctly? It's not a diet. It doesn't work like that. And how do you feel? I'll hang for about another minute if you have time, FR8, to respond. If you don't, that's okay too. And I wish it would show me on here that people are typing so I know whether or not they're responding or not, okay? But for all the rest of you that are watching this, look at him. He lost 27 pounds in 24 days. I mean, what else do I need to say to anybody? I didn't ask him to come on. I don't know him. He was on one of my podcasts, and he comes on. He's actually been updating us as he goes forward. You know, that's only one of thousands of people that we've been able to help, right? All right. Well, freight damage. I guess you're busy. I lost 10 pounds in 5 months. Yeah, Nasser, imagine losing that much weight in 4 days. You got it? That is crazy. So look, it took him 5 months to lose 10 pounds, and FR8 lost 27 pounds in 24 days and 28 inches. I mean, are any of you like curious about this? It's so great. It's wonderful. All right, I'm going to sign off, everybody, and maybe you'll be able to join me on my upcoming podcast a little bit later today.